I'm trying to improve the consistency of my driving, and that includes things like application of brakes, the brake pressure. So one of the things I wanted to do was install a heel stop in my car for the heel of my right foot, so that I've got it, the heel planted in a particular position for applying the brakes and, doing things like heel and toe and what have you. So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. This is quite tricky, working out where the heel stop should go. Now, one of the problems, actually, I think we're going to have to start the car. Yeah, I think it's going to have to go on that line there, which is right on the edge of this gripper stuff that I put on there. I mean, one of the things you can notice without the stop is my heel is sliding around as I press the brake, particularly as I roll over onto the accelerator. So I definitely think this is going to make a difference. This is the material I'm using. It's 15 by 10 by 2. So you can see it's just a right angle extruded aluminium. The 10, I'm going to have the 15 standing up, so that forms my heel stop. And so the 10mm is available to bolt down through into the foot plate. I think now I've measured it where it would go, I think 15 by 15 may have been better. I have looked at getting a 6mm hole through there, so that I can bolt down through it, and it looks all doable, but it is going to be tight, and I certainly have to use an Allen key headed bolt, because hex bolt would not do it. It's going to be too wide, and you wouldn't be able to do it up. So as you can see, I've cut this to length, and I've put a bit of a curve on here which will be close to the clutch pedal, because I didn't want my shoe catching on this, my left foot catching on this as I operate the clutch. But this isn't working out too well. I tried the M6 bolts, Allen head. Yeah, it's not gonna clear. So the problem there is, as I drill, it's going to go through the edge of the thingy, edge of the piece of aluminium. So that's not going to work. I've got another sort here. I think that would work. So that's a possibility. Or the alternative is I reduce the size of the screws and go for a smaller size. I've tried using the M6 nut on this side. I just put that there, but actually when you hold it up to the light, you can just about see a chink of light through the edge of the nut, so that's not giving us enough breathing space there. So in fact, that's not an M6, is it? No, that's not. Okay, so that's a smaller one, so that must be an M4, I think. I've got a vernier here somewhere, if I can just find it. That's an M5. So M5 is possible. That's an M4. That's certainly possible. But the M5 is looking favourite. The only problem is I don't think I've got any Nylock M5 nuts. In fact, I know I haven't. So what I'll have to do is use thread lock. But I think that's my best bet. Probably could do with a small washer on the underside. So let's get the foot plate off and see how that's all going to work with the foot plate. The first thing I need to do is release the accelerator pedal, which is just this single bolt here. That's the wrong size. So that is a 5mm Allen bolt. Okay, now we can lift that out of the way. Just put that there. Okay, and then we've got, just move the camera. There's just two bolts, that one there and that one there, and they are Torx bolts. Okay. Now I think I've got little packing spacers under that first bolt, if I remember rightly. Okay, so that's one out. Let's take this one out. And then underneath here, yeah. So I made a spacer out of plastic, but it wasn't quite big enough, so I've had to pack it with 2 more washers. Really need to remake that. There's a lot of rubbish is collected under here, so I'll take the opportunity to hoover that out. You can see how this is fitted in. It's got just 2 riv nuts, and then the other side simply clamps underneath the accelerator. Okay, let's move on and see if we can drill the holes in the right place. Okay, so this is how we're going to mount this on here. So just to show you, if I can tilt that without it falling over, you can probably see that. Yep. I've still got a fair bit of, I've got at least 5mm space until we get to the area where the accelerator pedal or the throttle sits, and so I probably would have been better off with a bit of 15mm by 15mm extruded aluminium, but this does give me the ability to, say, move this forward 5mm if I wanted to, and all I do is drill holes in different places. I'm sure you can appreciate that. But that's where we're going to put it. I think this is going to be good enough. Should work out okay. I'm going to do the 5mm holes. I may have to cut down the little screws I've got, because I don't think I've got any particular short 5mm screws. So we probably have to do that, but I reckon that's going to be good. Alright, moment of truth. I've drilled these slightly bigger at 5.5mm, just to give me enough room to line everything up. Need some washers, don't I? Those are M6 washers. Yeah, a bit big. Try these ones. Yep. Yeah, we'll have to go with the M6 ones. Because I haven't got any others. I've got other sizes, but not M5. I'm going to fit this together just temporarily, and then I'll put some thread lock on it. I think I said this before, but you can keep buying nuts and bolts and washers, and you never have the right size. So let's just fit that on the other side just to show you. Okay, I think we've got enough clearance there. I could trim these down a bit, but I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, should be okay. Anyway, we'll try and fit it. Actually, perhaps I'll do that first. I'll try and fit it in the car before I finally thread lock these on, in case I do have to trim these bits off the end. But I think this should be okay. So let's go and try it in the car. As you can see, I still need to hoover the stuff off the floor, but let's try this in here. Yeah, that seems fine actually. Obviously I can't see how much gap I've got there, but yeah, that seems to fit in okay. I'm just a bit worried about this fouling on the accelerator, but looking at the way this is rocking backwards and forwards, I don't think it does. It's rocking around a point up here, so let's make sure we've got this lined up. Actually, let's drop the bolts in just to be sure. Okay, that's one bolt. That's the other one. Right, now let's check up here. Yeah, the whole plate is on the... Yeah, in fact I can push it down, so there must be clearance. Yep, so it looks as though it just about works. So that is something to note if you're going to do this. We'll measure the length of those screws, but you need to make them quite short, because otherwise it's going to foul on the floor or on the bracket for the accelerator pedal. Okay, so let's have a look at these screws. So I think we already established they're M5s, aren't they? So just zero that. Yeah, 4.74, so they're M5s. And the overall length is nominally 15mm, 14.84. And the threaded length is 12. Yeah, I would say it's 12 mil. The diameter of the head is 8. You're not going to want to go much higher than that, because you will have trouble fitting it onto the angle piece unless you're using a bigger form like 15mm in the base part. So let's just bring the piece back in. So this is what we've got, fitted like that. And what I'll do now is just stick some thread lock on and then tighten them up. Yeah, that seems really solid. If I just push as hard as I can, there's no movement there at all, so I think that's going to do the trick nicely. What I'll do is I'll just hoover out the floor in the car, and then we'll refit it and take a look at it after it's fitted. Okay, let's try it. So you can clearly see the heel stop there. Okay, so it's clearly working. The only thing I would say is my foot is sort of sliding upwards on the heel stop. So I think it's going to take some getting used to. I'm beginning to wonder if I've made it high enough. But it's a better reference point than none at all. Because obviously before the heel, there was no reference point for my heel. And it could have been anywhere on this foot plate, and actually was probably sliding forward, as I found when I first sat in here and experimented. So I'd say it's just going to take some practice, I think, initially. I went to Snetterton with the car set up like this, and so I did 2 sprint races and a trophy race, 90-minute endurance race. I didn't notice the heel stop. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I've sort of convinced myself that it's too far forward and I need to move it back a bit. So the next bit of the video shows where I flounder trying to find the right position for the heel stop. Now I did have the heel stop in this position here, so the accelerator would normally be about here and the heel stop is here. I found that's way too close. Now I don't know if you can see, there's a shiny patch here, and this is where my heel has been naturally, you know, without the heel stop. And so I decided to move this back. I have a feeling I may have overcooked this a bit. I think I've moved it back too far. Right, hope you can see that okay. So let me get in the car. Try not to knock the camera. All right, well that's very different. Yeah, that's too far back because, yeah, it needs to be closer in. Fiddle. Okay, I'll re-drill the holes actually, I think. So I've moved it a bit. It's a bit more than halfway. Actually, no, with the offset of the screws, actually that's about halfway now between where it was and the original position. In terms of accelerator, when my foot is flat out on the accelerator, my heel is against the stop but off the floor. In terms of brake, well, it's difficult to tell without the engine running because the brake pedal goes down further, but I'm guessing that it's also going to rock a bit on top of the heel stop. Is that good or is that bad? I suspect wherever I put this heel stop, my foot is going to rock over the top. I don't see how I'm going to avoid that. Yeah, the trouble is, this is Friday. On Monday, I have to take my car down to 4040 for them to transport it to Croft for next weekend. I'm not going to get another test session, and unless they have a practice session before the qualifying, which they have done actually, they did at Snetterton, they had a practice session before qualifying. I'm not going to get a chance to practice with this, so chances are I'm going to go straight into qualifying with this as it is. Is it worth that risk? Yeah, I decided that that stop was too far back, so I've moved it again. And what I did was, because I've got a couple, in fact I've got 3 holes now that are quite close together, I've used sort of big penny washers to spread the load. I've Loctited the nuts onto the bottom so they don't come loose. I've redone the grip strip, this stuff, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. So we'll refit it and we'll see where my heel comes now. Right, the footplate's all back in the car, and let's see how this works now. So I think that position there is pretty good actually. My heel is rocking slightly on the top of the heel stop, but not a lot. I'm not convinced about the brake, but I think that'll depend on, checking it when the car's running, because the pedal does go down much further when the servo's on. I think this is a pretty good compromise. I do wonder if this piece of aluminium is slightly too tall. Maybe I should have gone for something a little less tall, and that would have stopped the foot rocking thing. But what concerned me was that the heel of my racing boots is slightly, I don't think you can see it, but it's slightly curved. And my concern was, if I have it too low, it's actually not going to, I stand the chance of skimming over the top of it with my heel. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think I'm just going to have to keep experimenting. I did consider creating the heel stop with my 3D printer, but I'll think about that probably between seasons. I've got a long period until the next season after the last race at Donington, so maybe I can do something about it then. I hope you found this one interesting. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.